What if I told you the most important moment of the day has already happened? Before the first meeting, the first email, the first problem that lands in your lap, it already happened. And most men completely waste it. Think about this. You wake up, and within 30 seconds, your brain is already running. What's due today? What went wrong yesterday? What someone said? What someone didn't say? And you haven't even stood up yet. That's not a morning. That's an ambush. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this. Who is running your mind before you run your day? Because someone is, something is. And if you hadn't made a decision about that, the world has already made it for you. There was a point in my life where everything on the outside looked right. Income over 200K, career strong, consistent performance. And I'll be honest with you, I liked the way that felt. I worked hard for it. I earned it. And I wasn't wrong about being proud of that. But something started creeping in, not loud, not dramatic, subtle. The kind of thing you can't dismiss at first, rationalize. Some people call it stress, call it fatigue, call it just a busy season. But it was a question, and it kept coming back. If everything in your life is working, do you really need God like you used to? Now, I don't throw that kind of language around casually, and I'm not here to tell you what to believe, but I'll tell you what I believe. And I'll trust that you'll find your version about what I'm going to say. About that time, I'd read a book, Hostage to the Devil by Malachi Martin. Heavy book, real cases, not easy reading. But what stayed with me wasn't the dramatic stuff. It was one simple idea. The darkness doesn't announce itself. It doesn't show up in a red suit with a pitchfork. It looks for a door left open, a weakness, something small that gets ignored, something you stop paying attention to. And when I read it, it hit me. My weakness wasn't failure. My weakness was success. When things were hard, I prayed. When things were uncertain, I prayed. When I needed something, I prayed. But when everything was working, I stopped asking. I stopped listening. And slowly, without realizing it, my faith became background noise. Something I did out of habit, not out of hunger. And then last year, things got heavier. My mom, she passed away in April. And if you've been through that, you know loss doesn't always hit all at once. It doesn't always knock you down in that moment. Sometimes it just lingers. I started to miss Mass. Not a decision, just slipping here and there. And I noticed something else creeping in. Old habits started to come back. I'm not going to lay out every detail of it here, but I've dealt with the things in my life, things I know that pull me away from who I'm supposed to be. And here's what I've learned about those things. It's never just one time. You crack the door open and more walks through. And it wasn't just the big stuff. I caught myself gossiping, talking about people in ways that I'm not proud of, carrying anger that I had no business carrying. I started hating my job again, not because the job changed, because I changed, and my wife saw it. Before I said one word, that's how you know something's real. When the person who knows you best sees it before you're ready to admit it. That's when I knew something was off. Not around me, inside. And so I went back, not out of obligation, not out of routine, not because that's what you're supposed to do, because I needed help. Not for success, not for money, not for the numbers to come back, but for strength, for clarity, for the ability to look deep inside myself, to look into the mirror and recognize the man standing there. And every time I called, he was there. Not fixing everything, not handing me a shortcut, but steadying me. Now here is where I want to get practical, because I know someone out there is watching this thinking, that's your faith, Mario, not my thing. And I hear you, so stay with me, because the next part is for everyone. For a long time, I was just going through the motions. I was showing up to church, saying the prayers, doing what I was supposed to do, but I wasn't present. I wasn't asking anything real, not for guidance, not clarity, not strength. I was just producing the words, checking the box. And that's when the noise had the room to move in, because I left a vacuum. And then that's when something changed, not overnight, intentionally. I started the rosary every morning. Then I moved into reading the Liturgy of the Hours. It's a practice in the Catholic tradition that structures your morning around prayer. Morning, midday, evening, night. You might not be Catholic. You might be Protestant, and your anchor is scripture and morning devotion. You might be Jewish, and it's morning prayer, the first one of the day, spoken before the world gets loud. You might be a Muslim, and that's Fajr, the pre-dawn prayer that sets the tone before the sun rises. You might not even have a formal faith at all, but you have a practice, stillness, meditation, journaling, a walk before the phone turns on first thing in the morning. The form is not the point, the intention is. Because here's what really changed for me. It wasn't that I was praying, it was how. I stopped performing. I stopped saying the words and waiting for my mind to wander. I got honest, brutally honest. I didn't ask for success. I didn't ask for money. I didn't ask for the quarter to turn around. I asked for clarity, for strength. I asked to become the man that I'm supposed to be, whether the results came or not. And that's when my mornings changed. Now me, I wake up a little before 5 a.m. every day. No alarm, just up. Bathroom, brush my teeth. Then I sit back in bed, lights off, AirPods in. I open the Divine Office, Liturgy of the Hours, Inviatory, Office of the Readings, Morning Prayer. I listen to it personally at 2x speed. If I don't, it takes too long and I won't stay consistent. So yes, my mind drifts sometimes, work, clients, numbers, but every single time I finish at peace. Sometimes if I'm stressed in the morning for some reason, again, I'm at peace when I'm done. Not because everything is solved, because I am settled, and there is a difference. I didn't fully understand how much that mattered until the season hit when things stopped working. Last year, I changed teams. Something felt off. September, missed target. First time in 6 years. 6 years, let that land. October, I barely hit it. November, missed it again. Now I want you to understand what that does to you. When you've been that consistent, you start believing something about yourself, that you have it figured out, that you're in control. And when that slips, it doesn't just affect your numbers, it messes with your head, it messes with your identity. December came around, worst month of the year. I got time off at the end, so clock's ticking. Week 1, 20,000 in sales. Then, nothing. Week 2 was dead. A week and a half of silence, actually. No deals, no movement, no closing. Now let me tell you what that old version of me would have done. Old me starts forcing it, calling harder, pushing faster, getting more anxious with every conversation. Clients can feel that, by the way. Desperation has a frequency, and people, they run from it. The old me chases the day. The old me becomes the pressure. This time, it didn't. I kept my mornings the same. I stayed grounded. I showed up to every conversation the same way I would have if I was already at quota. Calm, present, focused on them, not on my number. And then, the last few days before the break for the year, big deals came in. I closed the month at 50,000. January, same pattern. Slow, quiet, then surge. 50,000 again. February, March, same thing. Now, I'm not standing here telling you that this is some prosperity formula. Pray in the morning, close more deals. That's not what this is about. What I'm telling you, when I try to control everything, I become someone I don't want to be. Anxious, reactive, tight. But when I start my day grounded, clear, settled, I don't chase the day. I move through it like a man who already knows who he is. Here's what I want you to understand. Your morning is not neutral. Every single morning, something is shaping your mind. Either you are or everything else is. The notifications, the scroll, the anxiety that starts before your feet hit the floor. And you cannot pour out of any empty vessel. You cannot lead your family from a place of chaos. You cannot show up fully in your work when your mind is scattered before the day begins. The most powerful men I've seen, the ones who lead with calm, who make decisions without panic, who could take a hit and then keep moving, they all have something in common. They own their mornings, not perfectly, but intentionally. So what does this look like for you? Maybe it's what I do. Maybe it's a completely different tradition. Maybe it's 5 minutes of stillness before the house wakes up. Maybe it's a walk with no destination and no podcast. Maybe it's journaling. Write down 3 things that you're grateful for and one intention for the day. Maybe it's scripture, meditation, silence. I don't care what it is. I care that it's yours, chosen, intentional, protected. But if you don't protect your morning will be stolen from you every single day. You don't find peace in your day, you bring it there, or it isn't there. So I'm asking you to make a decision, not a wish, not a hope, a decision. Tomorrow morning, before your phone, before your news, before the noise gets loud, give yourself 10 minutes. 10 minutes that belong to you, to something greater than a to-do list, the version of yourself you're still becoming. Because the man you want to be is built in the mornings nobody sees. So I'll ask you this. What is shaping your mind the morning before everything else? Leave it below in the comments. I want to know. I'm Mario. This is Unfinished. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.